Hi everyone,
and welcome to another episode of ITT Podcast, which stands for In This Together Podcast. Our podcast is our honest take on relationships, love, and marriage, with the aim of sharing our views and experiences for you to take from it whatever you need.
So whether you're single, dating, in a relationship, or happily married, there is something in it for you.
Hi everyone, so today's episode is called Married People and Single Friends. So we're going to talk about what challenges single friends bring to a marriage, if any, and how to navigate these. We're also going to touch on what boundaries should be placed between you and your single friends, and we're going to give our views on what we think about all of this. Okay, so let's kick it off. Right, so this episode, we decided to do this episode because it's an interesting topic. I haven't heard a lot of people touch on this in terms of relationship podcasts.
I don't think
they probably so. I mean, we don't listen to a lot of podcasts, so maybe this is all the rage. Maybe people talk about this all the time.
Yeah. But it's something that's important.
Yeah.
Because I think it's something that every relationship probably faces at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. So what challenges, Frank, do you think single friends bring to a marriage? Let's start with that. In your opinion, what challenges?
In my opinion, I think there's a lot of challenges.
Really?
Yeah, because I'm
already shocked.
when you're married, things change. Priorities change for you. What's important change for you. So you will not have the same priorities and importance with your single friends.
Yeah.
You know, they may want to go out partying, may want to do certain things that are no longer important to you. So I think there is a lot of changes.
But why are we putting single friends in the partying categories? Not all single friends want to party.
Not all single friends, but I'm just saying that let's put it in a broader sense.
Yeah.
And just say that priorities do change. And that's the key thing. I mean, for me, it was definitely my experience. Yeah. But when I got married, I saw less of my single friends because what they wanted to do, you know, go out and play football, go out to bars, you know, with each other. It tends to be the ones that are single that will make those kind of arrangements.
Yeah.
The married one, me, myself, there were other priorities that I wanted to focus on.
Like
I wanted to focus on my wife. I wanted to focus on, even before we had kids, I wanted to be in that environment where I needed to put in place what I wanted before I started having kids. So my priorities shifted from the whole party. Not saying that the friends I had were partying, but, you know, things shifted from that.
Yeah, you were thinking more like long-term.
Long-term, yes.
Trying to do things to set myself up.
Yeah. So I was already in a different time zone. From them. Literally time zone. It's literally time zone because they were still for them, which is perfectly understandable. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I get
different places. Like, you know, it's like obviously I'm getting married or I'm not married, so my priorities should be different from your priority. You can't have the same priorities. I don't expect them to be, you know, have to have the same priority as me. So I think it is a big shift. There is a big change, and that could cause a lot of issues with friendship.
I think it really depends on the type of friend you have as well. Like sometimes some friends who haven't been married, they really don't see why anything should change. Some friends really get it and they understand that there's just going to be things that are just hard for you to like do, not because you're not allowed, but just because your day is taken up by so much, especially when you have kids as well.
Yeah. That's and another thing is that's a different challenge when you're just married.
Yeah.
The challenge gets worse when you start having kids.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
If you don't see your friends when you're married, you will not see them again when you have kids. Just put it that way.
Time for to be bye.
Yes.
Yeah, literally. That's when you're it's even harder.
And I think it's best to get things in order when you're married in terms of like the understanding with that friends or those friends to say, look, this is what it is.
But would you, I mean, if you're being honest, would you say you did that? Did you break it down to your friends?
No, I didn't do that. And that's why I think this episode is important. Because I think if I had to go back, it's one of the things I would do. I would actually sit my friends down and say, look, you guys ain't going to see me no more.
No, don't say that.
No. I like to give people a heads up. I'm like, things are gonna change. I mean, I wasn't outgoing before. You just won't see me again. Like, you might not hear from me as much as you used to. Things will change. Just expect things to change. But then when we talk about the impact, there are different levels of friendships. There are some friendships some friends that will fall in line. They understand it because you know each other so well that once you're married, your friendship does not change.
Yeah.
And there are others that are just like, I see friendship as a three-circular thing where the ones in the inner circle understands this right away, because they're kind of like almost like family.
Yeah.
Nothing really changes. And then the ones outside that circle, they're the ones that will look at you and be like, oh, he's now married. Look at him. Kind of thing. He's changed. What's going on with Frank kind of thing. But then on the outer circle are the ones that will just kind of just wither.
Yeah, and they'll just fade away for sure. Because your friendship was based on a lot
being available. Being available,
a lot of
and convenience and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, that is so true.
What about you?
What challenges do I think single friends bring to a marriage? I'm re-saying the question to buy time.
If you ain't got nothing to say, you ain't got nothing to say.
No. I'm thinking. I think I agree with you with the inner circle, the outer circle analogy. I think for me, the challenge that single friends bring, which is interesting because I am an outgoing person, so I'm already different from you in that sense. I think for me, it's that I want to maintain the level of friendship. And I think, we talked a bit earlier on. In the past, we talked about me being a bit of a people pleaser and being someone that finds it hard to say no. And so I think the challenge for me was trying to maintain the level of friendships that I had before I was married. Yeah. But I must say, I didn't have a lot of friends before we were married anyway. You know what I mean? I've never been someone that's had like a group of friends. Yeah. I've always had very individual friendships, like one-on-one friendships. And so it wasn't much of a struggle, but I think I had a lot of people on the outer circle, I would say, or like middle circle, not necessarily inner, that could have evolved to be inner circle friends. And I think once I got married, that just was not the case. Like it just was, And I'm someone who's quite outgoing in the sense that I'm a people person. And I do tend to like let friendships grow organically. And so it was weird to not really be able to do that because my life was so different from my single friends or people I was meeting and who were not married. So I think that's a challenge. I also think there's a challenge that single friends bring in that it's not just about understanding that you're married, but I think it's also about understanding your headspace. And I know that it sounds similar to what you were saying, but it's a bit different. Like I remember like a really good friend of mine, I think this is after we had kids as well. I remember feeling like you and I are just not thinking. It's like what you were saying in the different time zone. We're not thinking on the same wavelength. And it's not because I've elevated or I'm in some next level, but it's just that things that used to matter to me before in terms of conversations that we would have, they just seemed so redundant.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So a good example of that is that I would say before I got married, I was really about the Black community. I think I was really kind of focused about like social issues, and not to say I'm not now, but I was really focused on social issues, things that affect Black men, things that affect Black women, racism, equality, all of that stuff. And I think I had a different way of looking at it. And I think once I got married and then we had kids, my kind of tolerance for, and not to say I don't care about that stuff, but my tolerance for that level of attention on that kind of those issues really, really decreased. Because I had a certain bandwidth. It's like my bandwidth is not. It's not such that I have the luxury to kind of sit and think through social issues to that extent. Even though I care about them, there's just only so much you can do when you're thinking about your husband, you're thinking about your house, you're thinking about your kids. I started to see my priorities as being our kids and our family, like me, you and the kids and what we're planning to do and what we can do. And those social things do affect us.
They do.
But I mean, I didn't have the energy to give the level of like intellectual thought process into it as I used to. And I felt kind of bad about that.
No, but that's that's an understandable thing.
Yeah.
I think it should be expected, because if you're married and you have kids and then you're still giving that same energy to those type of things, then something will be lacking.
Yeah. And that's why it's so interesting, because the people in history that have sacrificed, and this is going off topic, but the people in history that have sacrificed for the collective, when you think of like social justice and, you know, you think of people like Martin Luther King and Nelson Mandela and, you know, Malcolm X, and they've basically sacrificed with their lives, some of them, right? Like Malcolm X, Martin Luther King. And their family suffered as a result. Their family lost them as a result. So there is a real sacrifice depending on how much energy you want to put on that. And I think bringing it back to the whole single friends thing, I think a lot of the times when you're single, you think a bit more about the collective than when you're in a relationship and when you're married. I mean, if you tend to, some people don't even think about the collective at all. So it doesn't apply to everybody. But I think if you are that kind of person and you have friends where you have those kind of conversations and you talk about world issues and stuff, I found that to be challenging for me, because I felt like I do not care as much about this.
It's true. And I think that's why this episode is important, because it's not just for married couples understanding their single friends, but it's for the single friends as well, understanding when people get married, like, you know, the headspace they may be at. Things are not going to be the same. Do not expect. And if you see things are the same with that friend of yours, do question them about it. Put them aside and say, look, I noticed you're still doing exactly the same thing as you were doing. You've been married for 6 months.
Oh my
Should you not go back to your wife?
No,
I'm being honest. I am being honest. It's what I would do. You know, I would ask the question, you know, you're still, you know, if you guys were a bunch of friends out, you know, twice a month, you guys are always going out, or 3 times a month, you go out clubbing or bars or whatever, and then that still remains the same. I would ask, like, you know, is your wife okay with this? Just that prompt.
And that's interesting, because I have a routine now where I have social weekends once a month in order to allow for my time with my friends. And so,
which is important.
Exactly. So that twice a month hanging out with your boys, or twice a month being with your girlfriend, if it is something where it fits with the character that you have as a person, it is important to keep that in place. But I think what you're saying is question that, you know what I mean? Because then the person or your friend can tell you, me and my wife have an arrangement where, like, you know, twice a month I do this and then twice a month she does that. So, you know, it's nice to kind of inquire and make sure that your friend is not feeling pressured to be around you and be in these situations that's then impacting their marriage or impacting their wife or their husband even.
Without saying anything. Because they're just trying to fit in.
They don't want to change without realizing that it's okay to change. It's a different era.
It's expected to change. You're expected to change.
So, I mean, what do we think about, like, societal expectations? Do we think that there are any expectations in society today that affect the dynamics between married people and single friends?
Yeah, I think there are. I think there's an expectation that once you're married, you should have married friends. You should be around married friends. So going to events, going to parties, going to things like dinners and whatnot, it tends to be married people that will associate themselves with other married friends.
Which is really interesting, because, like, even when I think of it, we don't have a lot of married friends, but we know a lot of married people.
Yes.
But then in terms of actual married friends that we hang out with, do we have a lot of married friends?
Yeah, but we don't have a lot of friends. So that's why we don't have a lot of married friends. You know, between you and I, we can count our friends on one hand. So that's where that comes
We're not
from.
the best people to talk about this. We ain't got no friends.
Yeah, but we've experienced. That's the reason why this is important, is that some of our friends have fallen off on our journey to get here. So that's why I think we are.
And that's the point. That's the point, that being married, when you're focused or zoned in on your marriage and your plans and your, sometimes, as much as it's not great to say or hear, it can feel like other people fade away or drift out of importance sometimes.
They do.
And so it is hard to maintain friendships with married people and single
Single people. I agree.
Yeah.
And the further you are in that time space, in terms of like the time differences between you and those friends, or the worse it will be. Like we still have friends that are like now married.
Yeah.
That we still speak to. Those are the ones I think have kind of stuck around because they get it.
Yeah.
They experience it, and they're still friends. But there are others that have just not been able to grasp what it's all about, and they've just kind of fallen away, or not just been able to be. They're not being able to be on the same wavelength as us.
Yeah.
And that's just how it is. You just have to say it.
Say it like it is. And I think sometimes as well, I think even people that we could class as married friends, because we do know quite a few people who are married, it's hard for us to class them as friends because I don't think we interact as much as we would like because of the life that we because of the fact that our life is so like about us and our family that sometimes even when you say married friends, we could say we got a lot of married friends, but do we actually interact as friends?
We don't.
No, we don't interact as much.
It's almost like when you get married, you literally have to just look at all your friends that are married and say, let's re-establish a relationship with them. Let's have a specific set time to spend with them. You have to do that,
otherwise,
or else your friendship just kind of falls away.
And funny enough, I think people do that more with their single friends than their married friends. Actually, because when I think of my single friends, I make more time to try and hook up with my single friends and actually interact with them than I probably do with married friends, because I assume that they are going through the same thing and it's hard enough as it is.
But you know what I think that is?
Why?
Because it's a lot more work to do that with married friends. Because when you do that with married friends, it's a whole family thing.
It's a whole double date thing.
It's a barbecue thing. It's a gathering in the house, because obviously at that time, you get kids are there, so it's a proper coming together. Whereas single friends, they can just pop round to the house, or you can just go to the cinema.
Yeah, it's just you and them. Yeah, it's like a one-on-one thing. It's so much easier to do. It's like an escapism. Yeah. Whereas when you go out with your married friends, it's very much about you, all of you being married. So it's a different dynamic.
So that's why it's harder to do. But it needs to be something that's consciously done, that you have to work on it. You have to invest in it. Yeah. Because like with I don't want to name our friends, but like with our closest like friends, I would say like we've even had to like arrange something where it's like we will go to each other's house every month, once a month, and we alternate it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And sometimes we don't even stick to it because it's so busy. I mean, we've got to actually arrange something with them soon. But things like that, you have to
literally explicitly put it in place, and that's like married friends. So it's already challenging in that sense, because you're gonna have those barriers when it comes to your marriage that kind of stops you from doing things that you want to do with married friends, let alone single friends. Yeah. And I think you were talking about the expectation that you will have married friends. Yeah. What do you think the impact of that is, though, on a person? This societal expectation that all your friends would now be married friends. What kind of impact do you think that has?
So repeat that again. My mind was somewhere
Essay
else.
Question. I said you were talking about societal expectations that can affect the dynamics, right? And you said like the expectation is that everybody would think that your friends are married friends, and you should now have married friends. What do you think the impact of that on a person is in terms of like their friendships?
Yeah, that has a huge impact, because if you then have single friends, those single friends will fall.
Yeah, they could easily.
They feel isolated. They feel like they're not being considered. Yeah, or being invited. And you might subconsciously leave them out when you're having like a family gathering, because you interact more with your married friends. And if it's like a family gathering, you might invite
calling myself.
I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying, like, so that's the impact it could have.
Yeah.
That's the impact it could have, because there's something around that singularity, that one person, that friend.
Yeah, I love my single friends.
I know.
I mean, we're talking about the dynamics and stuff like that, but I think the positive in this as well is that sometimes your single friends remind you of you as an individual.
Yes.
And that's why I think it is important to have single friends, because they keep you thinking about you as an individual and not the married you or the family you or the mum you or the, so it's important to have that as
it's important to have that if that person is a good friend, if it's a bad youth, you know what I'm saying? When you guys are like, bringing back the naughty past. No, we're not going to do that. So that's...
It's true. You got to have single friends with their heads screwed up.
Exactly.
You got to have single friends
before they lead you astray.
No, but that's hilarious. But what other societal expectations do we think comes with having single friends, or the dynamics between married and single friends? I think an expectation is that your single friend will no longer be the opposite sex. So your male single friends, if you're a female, get the side eye. Your female single friends, if you're married, get the side eye.
Yeah, there's always an impact.
Yeah.
You find that most guys would just be trying to relinquish all their female single friends.
Or being forced to.
Yeah. Be like, you're no longer allowed to see that girl or speak to her. You'd be like, before we got married, you were fine with it.
Yeah, because she was competing against them. She was like, I'm getting to the altar first. No, I'm joking. But I'm sure.
You might say that it's not like that, but in some girls' head, that's what's happening.
All's fair in love and war.
I'm telling you.
I know. But what's our take on that?
Yeah, but what's your take on it? Because when we got married, what happened to all my female friends?
You never had no female friends. Don't play that.
Really?
Don't play that.
Really? I didn't have any female friends.
You didn't really have a lot of friends because you're not a friend type of person anyway. But all your single friendships were inappropriate.
Were they?
Okay. No, I'm joking. They weren't inappropriate. They were in the work.
They were in the work environment. They were in the work environment. And when I moved on from work, from specific work, then it's kind of like they were just like work colleagues.
Exactly. I don't consider work colleague your friend.
True.
I know, because a work colleague can become your friend, but the test of whether or not a work colleague is actually your friend is when you no longer work together.
Yeah, true.
And I had lots of male friends from work that were work colleagues that they were not my friends. I have only one or two actual male friends who I've never worked with who are just my friends. And one is from uni. Well, they're both from uni, technically. Yeah. So I only have that. Whereas you don't have no female friends from uni because your ass was not serious.
Well, I was not serious because I kept to myself at uni.
No, I'm joking.
I was not chasing any female.
Yeah, but it's almost like the nature of your relationship with all your female friends at uni was not. Put it this way. There was nothing wrong with your friendships with girls at uni, but the dynamic was not respectful, I would say.
Because I had a girlfriend at uni, so my focus was on my study and my girlfriend.
But that's what I'm saying. So
I was not like partying. I was not trying to make female friends while I was at uni.
Yeah, but I'm sure you met female friends.
Yeah, in class. Like, hi, can I have that ruler? While we're doing experiments.
So how comes those friendships didn't flourish?
Because they were not friends. They were just like classmates.
So no female tried to be your friend?
No, there were a few that were like, do you want to come to the Afro? I was like, no. No, thank you.
So why?
Because I wasn't interested. Because I know what uni was about. I know why some people are there. I know why. So for me, it was just like, just
you were like, I'm not trying to move to her, so let's not even go to friendship. That's what it was. No.
It wasn't about moving. Like, trust me, it wasn't about that. I wasn't going to start anything. I wasn't even going to, in fact, I wasn't going to let anything even get started. Like, I know some girls are not like that. It's just like, they just want to be your friends, so blah, blah, blah. But uni was just uni. We were just there to study. That was it. And because I had a girlfriend already, it was just like, why am I trying to make friends?
Okay, because when guys make friends with girls,
people get the wrong guys. Yeah, I know.
Always with an ulterior motive.
Yeah, well, yeah. But sometimes people always blame the guys and say something to it. But some girls are like, they're the ones that are trying to like get into that space. So please.
Yeah, that's true. I'm not gonna
try and let the girl move me.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie about that.
Sure.
But I think if you're married and you're male, you can have a female friend of the opposite sex.
Yeah.
And I think
just make sure your wife knows who she is.
Yeah. And I think the same thing with a woman. I think you can have a male friend of the opposite sex, but actually, I don't really think, unless they're a work colleague, that friend can be someone you met after you're married. I said it.
Well, I meet a woman after you're married. Like if I introduce you to someone now,
yeah.
Hi, that's Cindy.
Yeah, and she's my friend. Why is it always Cindy? What do you have against Cindy?
Okay.
Who is Cindy, Frank?
Let me just find another woman.
Who is Cindy? I want to know.
That's the first time I've ever used Cindy. It goes to show how much you're not paying attention. Okay, let's just say I introduced to a woman called
It's okay. I don't need her name.
Ijeoma. Nigerian girl, Ijeoma. I'm working with her. She's from my workplace.
That's different. She's your work colleague.
But I'm saying she's my friend.
Well,
we have the same interest.
We'll find out about that when you're no longer working.
But I'm introducing you to her.
To say what?
To say that we have the same interest.
What? What is the interest?
She's Nigerian, I'm Nigerian.
That's not interest, okay? That is not the interest.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, once you're married, it's hard to then establish new friends that your wife does not know about.
Yeah.
Or it's like brand
because
new.
Even when I think of it, like even work colleagues that I've met at work who have been male, and I've said to you, I start talking about this friend. Oh, this guy, he's my friend. You've always given me the side eye.
All right.
The only ones that you haven't given me the side eye, you have no issue with my gay male friends, but my non-gay male friends, you definitely give me like
side eye. Do I?
You give me energy like, okay, and like I'm not trying to hear about that friend. You do. Maybe you do.
Maybe you misunderstand the energy you get from me.
I get totally different energy than my gay male friend.
Maybe I just want to hear what you and your friends got up to. Maybe it's not about them. Maybe it's just what you're telling me that
but
you guys.
How come your reception when it comes to my gay male friends that I meet that I've made at work, is completely different?
What's the reception? What's it normally like?
Curiosity, like, oh, okay, da 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 da. You've never been very like, there's no hostility. There's definitely hostility when I make male friends at work.
I think it's just been specific conversation that we've had. Maybe I'm just not in the mood at that point in time, and you just kind of, narrow it down to me not being interested. And when you've spoken to me about your gay friend, I've been in a calm and probably jolly mood.
Jolly mood.
And I'd be like, okay, is it? Okay, what did you guys get up to? Maybe that's why.
The jury's still out.
No, but try it next time and see.
Yeah, but still, I mean, like I said, we tend to make friends at work, and then it's hard to maintain friendships when you're no longer in the same working environment. Sometimes
because the friendships you make at work, they're very a certain level. They're not a deeper level, so that's why it doesn't progress after you've left that employment, unless you're there for like 10 years and they're there for like 10 years, by which means if you've been working together for that long, then you would have established some sort of friendship by that time.
True.
Which some people tend to do.
What's your take on the whole opposite sex friends?
I don't have any issue with it. I think trust is important in the marriage, in relationships. You've got male friends who I know I've met, but I don't have any issue with that. The only issue that I would have is if I haven't met them, then it's like, okay, why haven't I met this person?
Okay, so would you say that do you agree, or how do you feel about me making new male friends that are single? I might add.
Look, it depends on what situation you met them in.
So if I didn't meet them at work,
where were you when you met them?
On the bus.
How did you get? Why? Why on the bus? Well, not the bus.
On the train.
You gotta be getting the bus.
On the train.
Train. Like, why? Were they talking to you?
Yeah, maybe they spoke to me like, oh, da 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 da.
But then what?
See, this is the reception.
And then what? No. It needs to be going somewhere. If they spoke to you and then it's like, oh, you realize that, oh, you guys were at uni before.
No, maybe you weren't. Maybe you just talked to someone on the train and you had something in common.
He chatted you up. Then that's a no. That's a no.
Right. He chatted you up.
How did he start talking to you? Did he drop a pen and be like, oops? And then you picked it up and you're like, oh, nice to meet you. Like, well, how did life come? He chatted you up, so that's different.
I'm just teasing you. I'm just
different.
I'm just like pushing your buttons there,
but it's hard to verify, not verify, but it's hard to explain how you would have made new friends without it coming across as suspicious.
Somebody's trying to move to someone.
Yes. Like how do you make friends? Like you're out with your friends and you run into a bunch of guys, and then he spoke to you. Yeah, he's moving you. Like there's no other way. Like it's like I don't get that.
So you don't think a guy can speak to you unless he's moving you? If he's a single guy, unless he's trying to like get with you?
Most of the time, yeah. Like from a guy's perspective, I'm telling you, from a guy's perspective, most guys, there's like quite a lot of guys, there's always an ulterior motive behind it while they're talking to you. Yeah, I'm telling you.
Unless it's work.
Unless it's at work. No, it's like, they've got a wife, you've got a husband, and then you guys are just like chatting, and even then, suspicious.
No. At work, you can definitely meet people who are single and you're just cool. Like work definitely is that environment.
I mean, that's why work advice: do not sleep with anyone at work. There's no why they say that. It's part of HR. Always worried about that. Don't do it. Don't go for drinks. Don't go for coffee.
Oh, I know, right? Work can be inappropriate, but that's a whole different topic that we're going to touch on one day, I'm sure. But yeah. So we're kind of on the same page with that. I'm very much like, if you met a girl at work that you're cool with, that's fine. But would you say you can go out with, so let's say that you're still working in that environment. Can you go out with your work friend? Can you,
like, just
your
two
single work friend? Yeah.
But I think that's a bit inappropriate. I think it needs to be a collective of us. If it's just me and her,
I'm going to be like, people.
I'm going to bring Johnny, and I'm going to bring Sammy, I'm going to bring Sam. We're all going to go. Like, no, both of us. No.
It's a trap.
No, it's a trap. No, why would she want it to be the both of us?
Because maybe you
just extend the invite.
Maybe you
extend the invite. No, I would extend the invite. Like, no.
Maybe your friendship is just you two. Like maybe you're in like different departments or something, but you're different teams, but you're the same department. So maybe you guys met in the lunchroom or something. How would you take it if it was like, well, I'm not talking about me. I'm saying like developing a friendship, because that's how it develops outside of work.
Yeah, I know. But when you start developing a friend, which is natural, I think I will keep your partner informed about it. Like, because they can advise you. Like, for example, that kind of situation whereby she's saying, oh, don't invite anybody else. Like, let's just, I think, we should go to I would tell you about it, and then you'd be like, well, how come? Like, just find out why. No, it's true.
Yeah.
So communicating with your partner is a way of kind of gauging if it's a trap, or if it's if there's
if they like
motive, if they like you. Yeah, even your partner will be like, they might actually fancy you.
But would you say just avoid it altogether then? Just don't go out with anybody.
That's what I'm saying though. Just go out. Just don't go out. That's what I'm saying. Or try and find a way to make it a bigger thing. Like, why don't we all just go out together? Me and Bob have been talking about going out for a drink. Why don't you just come along with us? Yeah, so there'll be 4 or 5 of us there.
Yeah.
That's the best way of doing it.
It's safer as well.
It's safer as well, exactly. So I think be open, be honest about it. But I think it's all right to develop friendship at work. But I think when that friendship starts progressing, talk to your partner about it. Talk to your husband, your wife about it, and be like, look, this is such and such.
And some people are not comfortable with it. Some partners are just not comfortable. Like I said, I just don't see how you can make any new friends outside of work, because I feel like of the opposite sex. And I know that might sound shallow, but just because, like you're saying, it's hard to, it's not like you're not allowed, but it's hard for me to really believe that is completely platonic. There is something inappropriate about it.
It's hard to, I don't know how scientists can justify that process, but it's how do you find that equation? Like, what do you say? Like, how did it come about?
Yeah.
Friends, like, if, when you're single, how you can develop a friendship with a girl. Either you fancy her, or or you were friends when you were at school, nursery, secondary school, whatever. But when you get older, you've established a relationship, you're married. How are you then friends with this random girl, this random woman from nowhere?
Yeah. I think, I don't think there's anything insecure about it. I think it's more about respect and boundaries and stuff like that. And I think
definitely.
It can seem a bit like, oh, so you don't want your partner to meet anybody who's not, who's the opposite sex because you're insecure. And I can see how, it could seem like that. But I think it's a lot to do with boundaries and preventing, just don't dabble in something that could just turn out to cause mayhem in your marriage. It's true.
But there could also be some element of trust in it as well.
Do you think so?
Some women...
Do you think I don't trust you?
No, not you, but I'm just saying that some women would not have a bar with it, like, because they don't trust their partner.
True.
Like, you can't even bring that to them, so the man won't even try it. And if he's trying it secretly.
But let's explore why I feel like that then, because I would say I completely trust you. So why do I feel like that? Because I think it's a respect thing and a boundary thing.
Yeah, you think...
But is it trust? Is that really all it is?
I don't think it's necessarily trust. I think for you, it might be a case of, if something happens, it may not be on me. It may be on the girl. Yeah. It might be a case of like something that's out of my control, or something that not out of my control, something that she might be
I'm going to need it to be in your control at all times. About out of your control.
I'm trying to say that something that is, that could be something
she
caused. Rather than...
That's true. So it is a trust thing, but it's not a trust of you, but it's a trust of the other... Yeah.
Trust of women.
And one of those things is, because I know that a lot of women really don't care, and we've talked about side chick and side men and stuff before, I, as a woman, know that a lot of women don't care. And if anything, sometimes they'll even purposely want to make friends with the intention of sliding from friends to side chick.
They see married men as a delicacy.
Frog's legs, snail. But there is something there around me really understanding how some women work and feeling like, and it's not to say that I feel like you will slip up and necessarily you can't be friends with a single girl.
You just don't want to be put in that situation.
Exactly, where you're having to explain something to me that was not... like nothing happened, but it's now becoming a thing.
I get that. Yeah, that's why I respect that position. Because I don't like that. I don't want to have it to be... This is what I'm talking about, the whole drinking thing. I would rather bring Bob, Sam, and everybody else along than to be explaining that. But babe, it was just me and Ijoma that was... No. Why was it just... I don't want to start explaining myself. It's better to avoid that.
100%.
Yeah. 100%. So I think that's what it is. I don't think it's a part, but it's like some of the KG girls and women out there that are a bit
And what about you then? Is it the same thing? Is it you feel like men...
I think men are dogs. I think they will try on you. But I'm going to be blatant. They will try on you. So it's not even necessarily on you. It's on them. They'll be trying it. I'm not having it. So, that's it.
So you don't think a man... So that's it. And that's it for me.
But I do trust you. But I do trust you to be able to, like... That's why I'm not insecure like that. Like, if you met a guy, obviously explaining your reason why and blah blah blah, how you met him will be pretty challenging, and you probably won't get far with that shit. But if you get past that, I trust you enough to know, because I know our relationship, I know our marriage, I know that we're good and whatnot. So I'm not worried about that. Yeah, if we were like if we were like in a shaky kind of, then I'll be like, why? Like that's why some people do kick up a fuss, because they don't want anything to come in and start trying to influence the relationship and
which is already in shaky ground.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like, this is hanging by a thread. Exactly. We don't need this.
You don't need that shit.
We don't need this.
So I think I'm not trying to say that women are more trustworthy than men.
Is that what we're saying?
That's not what I'm saying.
Is that what we're saying?
Not what I'm saying, but it is what I'm saying. So I would not...
oh, you're hilarious. No, but I guess, But then what kind of friendship would you be okay with that developing into then? Could I be going to the cinema? Could I be...
Well, you're a married woman. Why would you go to the cinema? Like, you can only go to cinema with your girlfriends and stuff like that. You come to the cinema with a male friends.
I can go to the cinema with a male friend. I think I've even been to the cinema with a male friend. Have I not?
You should. Yeah, I'll let you go, but...
Yeah, that's different. Because older male friend. I'm a friend that I've known for time.
Yeah, because I know him. Like, I know the guy. So I know the guy. So it's different. It's different.
How come that doesn't bother you?
Because I know that person. I know that person. And I said before, I know our marriage. I know our relationship. But if it's someone that has like a recent development, that will be slightly different.
Yeah.
Because I don't know that person.
Yeah. So I guess you're in the same boat as me. It's because that person predates you to some extent.
Yeah.
Because I've been friends with that person for as long as I've known.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So you're comfortable.
So it's almost like you've been friends with that person with me. That's how it feels like. That's why that doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me.
And you don't have any female friends, actually, when we think of it.
No, I don't. Like,
you don't have not even one.
I don't. I mean, there are some that I met at work, but like when we go back to this whole being married, prioritizing family.
If people in the inner circle are falling off.
Exactly. So it's kind of like those kind of things just fall away. So I had female friends during my career, early on in my career, but being married and whatnot, it just kind of fell to the side because obviously they were not priorities. I couldn't prioritize that friendship because of what was going on, the differences, being married and whatnot.
But then how have I been able to maintain? But then again, I don't have many male friends.
You don't have many male friends, but women are better at establishing
and
friendship and maintaining than men are.
Yeah.
Some men are good with their male friends, but with female friends, I'm not very good with that. So I need to make an effort. I need to make time for them. Nah. I haven't had the capacity to do that. So
oh God! And plus, you're not even social like that.
I'm not so exactly.
And that is another thing I think that makes it
dry.
No, not dry. You're sweet. Let's
tell you how it is.
You're not dry. You're not really like about going out and hanging out and.
So I'm boring.
You're not boring. You do lots of really interesting stuff.
What? Exactly.
What do you mean, like?
Anyways, keep it going.
You're really interesting, Frank.
Okay. Says the wife.
You are really interesting. So you think the only way someone could be interesting is by going out with their friends?
Just doing social stuff, isn't it? Like
you do loads of social stuff with me. Okay. And then you chill at home because that's what you want to do. I mean, I've said to you before, you should go out more. You should do more stuff. But if you don't, find it enjoyable.
I'm not going clubbing with you.
Okay.
If that's what you're trying to get to. I'm not going clubbing with you. Anyways.
I don't even go clubbing. I know, you're making me sound like...
You're trying to get me to go to clubbing with you. I'm not going.
I'm trying to get you to go out with me.
We do go out. We go out a lot.
No, I'm trying to get you to go out. Like, go dancing. That's not a club.
But we can dance in our house. We can dance in our garage, in our kitchen. We've got lots of space.
Oh my God.
We could turn the place into a disco. No, I'm being serious.
We do.
If that's what you're looking for.
We do dance in the house. It's not the same.
Okay.
We're going to go out.
We can rewind to 1998 or to 1999 and then put some bashment tunes on there.
You're a joker. But we do play music in the house. We do dance and stuff. But I still think we should go out with your sister and her husband soon. Yeah?
Not going to happen. Not promising anything, but yeah.
Anyway, we digress. So yeah, we talked about that social expectation.
So we talked about boundaries. Like you said,
we touched on it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the boundary is important, and I think a lot of people do cross that. That's why partners don't trust each other in terms of like having
single friends or the opposite. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Just true. What are the misconceptions or stereotypes about married or single people that affect their friendships? What do you think? Like, what are some of the stereotypes or misconception about married people or single people?
The biggest one is that the single friend will try to sleep for sure.
If they're opposite, the misconception or the stereotype is that they might be trying to have a relationship.
Trying to have a relationship or establish a relationship.
But what about like same sex?
Same sex, they will try. There's a misconception that they will try and influence, bad influence.
It's a stereotype.
It's a stereotype, but it's not necessarily true. But some partners will blame it on that friend.
Stop hanging around Johnny. Stop hanging around Johnny. I told you that Johnny's bad. He can't keep a relationship.
Yeah.
Why Johnny?
I'm just picking on it. So I think that's a misconception.
I think there is definitely a stereotype that your single friend is going to influence you to like cheat, which I think is gibberish. Especially, I mean, if you have a single friend that's influencing you to cheat when you're married, you really need to get some new friends. Like, that means you're dealing with friends that are not on your level, in my opinion.
But it's not necessarily like straight up cheat. Like, it's a case of the misconception comes from what we were talking about, the availability if you're still available as much as your friend.
Like David.
like that.
Unavailable.
Like if you're always available. So it's like you're married, you've got kids, but you're never at home. You know, your friends are out, but you always do your best to make it, to be out with that. You always prioritize that.
Yeah.
No, there's an issue with that. Like your wife will have an issue with that, or your husband will have an issue with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then who will get the blame for it? Your friends. Because your friends will be like, we didn't know if we invite him. He was to come out with us.
You're like, we're single. It's him that's married.
What's he doing out here? That's why I think some friends need to do more and check and actually pull their
Send him back.
Go back to your wife or go back to your husband. Like, seriously.
But what about this? What about the notion that it's okay for men to be men's men and hang out and go out, and staying at home is a woman's thing? Or, yeah. What about that?
I think it's nonsense. I think it's absolute nonsense. I'm aware of that saying that, you know,
That stereotype.
Yeah, that stereotype. And I'm sure some people think the same thing with me. Like, I'm just at home because I'm trying to be, he's trying to be a good husband, so he stays at home. Look, if you know me, you know that.
Yeah.
I'm not for the streets.
What do you mean for the streets? No.
No. You would know that, you know, going out is not my thing. Like partying and whatnot, or going to bars. Even if it's just like, just going to friends and chilling with friends. I've got Sky Sports.
You're not serious. You're actually not serious. I've been watching your Sky Sports at your own house with nobody with you is not the same as watching it with your friends around your phone.
I know. It's not the same.
What are you afraid of?
Nothing. I'm afraid that they may annoy me. That's what I'm afraid of. That they may actually piss me off, and I won't talk to them again. Maybe that's what I'm trying to avoid. I'm trying to like save our friendship. So if you don't see me come to watch football with you, be grateful.
No,
because that could end it. Yeah, you annoy me with because some guys when they get together they start chatting a lot of shit. Yeah, let's talk about that. And I don't like that shit talking. I may not show up again. So why are we trying to get there?
Frank, stop.
Why are we trying to get there? Let's not get there. So let me stay at home and you guys can watch it. Like,
What?
Anyways,
You are so not serious. I understand exactly what you're saying because I know the kind of Frank, I would say, in his defense, has a very low tolerance for like what's the word I'm looking for?
Nonsense.
It's not nonsense.
That is the word you used before. It is nonsense. I don't have. It's never low tolerance. I have no tolerance for that. Come on, man.
And what you deem as nonsense is very broad. Like a lot of things are nonsense in your book, and it's. I don't know why you're like that. I think that's just your personality.
I don't know why I'm like that.
You just you do feel quite annoyed when people are just being silly.
I just like people to behave themselves. Like if we're watching a match is a match. Let's just sit down and behave ourselves. When they start talking about other random stuff like has nothing to do with the match or just get it. Some guys do get carried away. Watching a match could lead to other things like, you know, fighting and whatnot, which is happened in the past. Like, I'm not gonna,
It's true. You're very, you really do think outside the box sometimes.
what is that about? Like, you know,
Because you're the kind of person that's like, and I know this because I know you, where you're like, okay, my friend wants me to hang out and watch a match. But who else is going to be there?
is going to be there?
And I can't control who else is going to be there. And I can't control what that other person is going to do or how they're going to be. So you're just like, is it worth the hassle? Like, no. And I think it's because of the way you think. Like, you just think beyond the, like, actual issue at hand. Like, if I'm invited out somewhere, I don't think that far ahead to be like, well, who else is going to be there? How are they going to behave? And then,
you know, watching a match you could get there, there's like 15 other people. There's a bunch of guys, there's even some girls there. Okay. It's like, okay, I thought I was just coming to watch a match with Ola and Tunde. But now there's BC, there's this other crew, the whole So Solid crew is there. But he's just there. And it's like, okay, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But anything could happen in that kind of environment. Yeah. Anything could happen. Like, we've heard stories about, you know.
And, you know, I think there's something around you being a boy. Well, you're not a boy, being a man, but I'm thinking of London, like when you were younger. Mm-hmm. I mean, we grew up, you grew up in Camberwell, Peckham, Forest Hill. You grew up in South and you grew up in London. Yeah. I grew up in South, I grew up in London. So, but it's a very different experience for a boy growing up in London, especially around the time that you grew up in the 2000s and stuff. Yeah. I think there was something there where you had to learn really quickly that anything can happen at any point, especially being in groups of...
My experience, what I've learned, the number one thing that I've learned is control your environment. Control what you do. You cannot control what other people do, even your friends, even your close friends. So I like to be in control of the outcome of a situation, so I will not put myself in that situation. I can analyze the potential flaws or the potential issue that could arise from specific. I can do it quite quickly, so I will just remove myself from that.
Yeah.
So that's why I do not tend to be around certain people, even though I know them. I've known them for years, because I can't control the people that they hang around with.
That is so true. And that's especially like, I mean, it sounds like we're going off topic here because, you know, we're supposed to be talking about single friends.
Well, it's important.
But it is important. And that is part of that. That is that dynamic where you are very different from me in that you do think about that wider picture. And I can be quite naive and narrow-minded sometimes because I'm just thinking about the situation. Like, I'm going out with my friend. And maybe as a girl, I can control my environment a bit more, you know, because most of the time with girls, you know who's going to be there. You know who you're going with. So it's not really, it's not the same. Like, they do always know who's friends of who's and who they're hanging out with. And plus, another thing with guys that I think is different from girls is that a guy can have friends that you as his friend don't even know.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is interesting. Like, I've never really thought about that dynamic.
Several that you've never met.
You've never met, you don't know. And those friends bring several friends that you don't know. Whereas I think with us, we tend to know our friends' friends.
Yeah.
And so there tends to be that connection where
you got... And sometimes if you don't know their friend, it isn't far removed. It's like maybe that one friend.
Yeah.
But with guys, that friend of a friend of a, it's like it could be 3 times over. Like you get there, you're spending time. Half the time you're being introduced to other guys that you've never met, you've never seen, you've never even heard of. So it's kind of like, I only came here for that one person, but I'm not introduced to 20 other people. I don't like that.
Yeah, you don't like that.
Some people, they like that. They like meeting new people. It's like, but not in that kind of setting. Let me meet you in the daytime. Yeah, outside. Let's introduce each other. Yeah. So it depends on the setting as well. So
yeah. You're right. But I mean, you're very cautious anyway. But do you know what? I like that about you because that's how you have to be. You're a father. You're a husband. You know, you're supposed to be a protector by nature. So that cautious.
I can't put myself in danger.
Yeah.
So if I want to be around to look after my family, I need to protect myself wherever I go. So I can't just be blasé about what I do. And
Oh, I love that about you. I do love that about you. I mean, I don't want it to hinder you having fun, but so sometimes I'm like, are you sure you're having fun? Because I want you to be having fun. But I mean, we do hang out with people, and we do go out.
The people that I know, I think I need to personally. I think I need to make more effort with the people that I know. Get to know them a bit more, because I could think of a few guys that I could say, if I bump into them on the street or wherever, I can talk to them. And we can just catch up and whatever. I think I need to build more with those kind of people.
Yeah, and that you trust the people that...
A few, but I think I need to establish, they know who they are if they're listening to this. But I think apart from that, I will not go any further.
Yeah. So it's about strengthening the friendships that you
already have.
And maybe building on them a bit more. Yeah, absolutely. Are any of those guys single?
No, none of them are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the points. It's like, if you're trying to have friends that have things in common with, you're going to end up having friends that are married friends or single and single friends. Single people being friends with single people.
Yeah, it's just natural. Like, it just tends to happen that way.
I think also there's like a misconception or a stereotype that your single friends will give you bad advice about your relationship.
Yeah,
and I
don't agree with that.
I don't agree with that.
Yeah, I don't agree with that. I think most of the time they can see it from the outside. They can tend to be the reasoning, the good reasoning that will say, look, I wish I had what you have. You've got a lovely family. You've got no one can tell you that most of the time, apart from a single friend. Most other married couples, they're probably swimming in it. we're all like, fighting the same battle. So we can't like, all they can probably tell you is like, stick in there, keep it going.
It's not that bad.
Keep pushing. While your single friends would be like, I think this is, because they know you, they can give you a different perspective.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I think they are valuable. I think single friends are valuable.
Some of my single friends are, well, I don't have a lot of single friends, but I would say my single friends are like everything. They help me to remain grateful. And not in the sense where like you're looking down on your single friend, like, oh, poor them, they don't have anybody. Because I don't think I think we all walk a different path. I think we all have our own path to walk. I think you're going to meet the person you're supposed to meet when you're supposed to meet them. So I never think about my friends who are single, or if I meet anyone and they're single, I don't think, oh, how sad. No, because I think that they're where they're supposed to be at that point in time. And everyone they encounter is going to have a specific impact on them, and eventually they're going to encounter someone who they're meant to be with, and that's their journey. I don't compare myself with my friends or people around me. This is what I'm saying. So I don't think of it in that way, but it does make me grateful in the sense that when I'm around them, I'm an individual, and so I think more about my life and what I'm grateful for. Whereas when I'm around married friends, I'm almost a representative of my husband. I'm almost like an extension of my husband. We're like a couple. We're like, so I'm not thinking in an individualistic way about what I have or things specifically to do with me.
That's why it's important to have both. I think it's important because it's almost like being that single friend. It's almost like you're kind of like, this is not going to sound right, but it's almost like your freedom.
But you're right.
It's almost like you being yourself.
Yeah.
So when you're together, you have to be one. You have to be. You have to do.
And you kind of do it automatically. You become one automatically when you're around each other.
You do. And then that single friend gives you that, that different view, different perspective, and you kind of like, you have fun. You have, just different kind of interaction.
Yeah, 100%. No, for sure. Okay, so we've touched on so many things about the challenges, the stereotypes, misconceptions, the dynamics. So what do we think are some of the solutions for some of the challenges that we've spoken about and how to navigate them? How would you say that you can navigate the challenges or the changes that being married with single friends brings? And first of all, what are we actually saying are the changes? So we've mentioned not being
available.
I think to do the same things you was doing. Not being in the same headspace.
Priorities.
Your priorities changing. That's 3. I was going to say your perception on life, but that's not accurate because that's kind of the same thing as being in a different headspace, isn't it?
Actually, that might be different. When you talk about being in a different headspace, it's all about the bandwidth. It's all about your availability mentally for that person to have certain conversation. But perspective
on life
is different. It's very different because you're thinking long term. You're thinking kids. You're thinking your family's future. Whereas they're thinking about themselves. They're thinking about maybe a wider range, like how you said, the social impact. So it's a different perspective.
So between married people and single friends, we spoke about availability, not always having the same level of availability to be around them. And sometimes that being seen as, oh, you've changed, or, you think you're better than me, or stuff like that. Also like bandwidth, we spoke about priorities being different, your perception in life being different. So just being completely different space, walking a different path. What do we think are some of the solutions for those specific challenges? So like availability.
I think be open. I think communicate with your friends.
And like you're saying, you didn't do that.
I didn't do that. I think be open, be honest with them from the get-go. Things will be different. Like, let's just put that out there. But what we should do is X, Y, Z. I think we should find time for each other. We should do, so it's because that's a relationship in its own. So that's what I think. I think that would address all the abilities and even the whole being in a different space and whatnot. Because if you've established that communication with that person or those friends, then the rest should just fall in place. What about you?
I think with availability, a more practical solution as well is, like I said, what I have like set up.
Reoccurring.
recurring slot, and not necessarily recurring slot with the same person, but even just recurring slot to make time for your friends. I mean, I had a really close single friend of mine who reached out to me and was like, I mean, we're in different countries, but reached out to me and was like, I don't feel like our friendship is the same and da-da-da-da. And just on that communication point, you know, I'd never really communicated the changes in my life as a result of being married and having kids. And we just never had that conversation. We just kind of continued our friendship as if I'm going to be the exact same person. Yeah. So that was, I actually appreciated that friend coming to me and saying that, because it gave me the opportunity to actually speak to them about that and say, oh, this is the kind of life I live now. This is what happens on a daily basis. Yeah. And they really understood. And in a way, I was wrong, because I should have also recognized that I'm not as available. I'm not the same kind of friend. And I should have initiated that conversation like you're saying. Yeah. So, you know, I'm really lucky to have a friend that can bring something like that to me. But at the same time, it also that kind of triggered me to reevaluate the way I make time for my friends. Yes. Because I am someone that, you know, I love my friends, and I'm someone that does make time for people that I care about. It made me then, I think that's around the time that I'd said, right, I'm going to start once a month. I'm going to have my social weekend. Yeah. And that's when I'm going to see my friends. That's when I'm going to call my friends, you know. And I do it more than that. I mean, it's not rigid, but it allows me to, if nothing else, I have that one day. So that could really help with availability, because then it shows your friends that you value them.
It can. And I also think it will help with the bandwidth as well.
Yeah.
Once you've established that, it means that
you can take that out of your head.
Take that out of your head.
You can set an actual time.
An actual time. It's not there bothering you, like, you know, trying to like find that space for them.
Yeah. What about solution for priorities being different and your lifestyle being different? Is that something that even needs a solution? No. I mean, if your priorities are different.
Is what I'm saying. I think if you...
Because the answer communication.
It's communication, but no. Because once you've established that line of communication with that person, and you said that, look, things are going to be different. You know, once you have that, I think your lifestyle has already changed.
Yeah.
You've established that your lifestyle is changing, especially when you start having kids and your single friends don't have kids. It's a different lifestyle. It's almost like you have to go a step further to be able to find time to do that.
Yeah.
And that means establishing, like you said, that once a month kind of thing where you know, that could be my, you know, if I wanted to go out with the guys and play football, that would be my once in a month kind of thing.
Yeah.
So sure. To establish that. So I think that covers...
But also on priorities, I think when you are with your friend, give them the same level of communication. Like, I mean, I know it's communication, but give them the same level of communication that you used to when you were single. So when you are with your friends, talk about your life and your priorities, and, you know, give yourself permission to evolve as a human being, and bring your friends along for the ride. Just because they're a single friend or they're a married friend.
I don't think that they won't understand certain things.
Yeah.
Which is not true, because they would benefit from you communicating with them, because obviously most of them are not going to stay single forever.
Exactly.
So they're working on that journey of getting with someone or potentially getting married. So this is why, you know, you as a friend to them, valuable to them.
Yep, so true. And your priorities shifting is probably something they expect, and they probably would expect to hear it in the way you interact with them and the things you say and the things you talk about. So and they can move with you, like you're saying. And I think that's kind of linked to perception on life as well. It's that same solution, like, you know, bring them along for the ride, to tell them about your perception, and also have mature friendships where you can analyze things, like what I was saying about not being as engrossed in what's going on with the community, like the Black community overall. That actually came about with a conversation with one of my friends who I don't believe was single at the time, but we had that conversation, and I was like, oh, I'm just not the same. You know, I just don't think of it the same way. My perception of life is different. So having friends that you can have deeper conversations with helps. So a potential solution is check the caliber of friends you have. You know, maybe if your friends are not meeting your needs in that sense, maybe make new friends as well that can help you have those kind of conversations so where you can evolve and analyze yourself.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. But no, I'm not saying get rid of your old friends. I'm just saying think about the kind of friendships and be able to like categorize your friends. I always talk a lot about categorizing friends.
I agree.
You know, for me, there's friends, there's acquaintances. And I think a lot of the times, sometimes we tend to want to do things for acquaintances that we should only really reserve for friends, which could solve things like bandwidth and having to over-explain yourself.
Yes, I agree with that.
And like we said as well, like setting boundaries. Setting boundaries is something that we talk about in relationships, like romantic relationships, but it's also something that needs to be in place.
Yes.
Yeah.
Your single friends.
Yeah.
I agree.
With any friend, but definitely single friends as well, because your lives are so different that you can't just take certain things for granted that they'll understand that. It's important to set those boundaries. So we thought about some boundaries for same-sex friendships and opposite-sex friendships.
Yeah.
What did we say they were actually, Frank?
We said avoid sharing marital troubles and issues, too much of that
with your same-sex friends.
I mean, why would we say that?
Well, we're gonna have to go in on that in another episode, because we have a whole episode about talking to your friends about your relationship. We'll delve into that a bit more. But I think that is something to think about. Yeah. Like, how much do you share, and is that actually productive?
Yeah.
Is that productive? Respect for your spouse. Yeah. I think that is so important. Yeah. I mean, you wouldn't want a friend that is like disrespectful towards your partner, because to me.
No, but you disrespecting your partner.
I thought the boundary would be like
sex. Yeah, you're saying that by saying something bad about him, like, or about say something bad about your partner. Like, she doesn't clean the house and something like that.
I do clean the house.
I do. No, I'm just saying.
I'm joking, but I understand what you're saying. Like but I was actually thinking of it the other way. Like, a boundary should be that they don't disrespect your partner, because if you have a friend that thinks they can talk anyhow about your partner, that's a red flag.
Yeah, but I would have seen that as a given. Like, that's the standard.
Okay.
Like,
that's a boundary that you don't even
expect to be.
Yeah, you're kind of you're kind of big on that.
Yeah, like, you would be cancelled if I get a whiff that you're trying to disrespect my wife. Like, that's one thing that I could drop you for, like, as a friend.
No. They're not footballers.
No, I would drop you.
They're not record artists.
I will sell you. Yeah, you'd be transferred out of the friend zone.
Oh God. Yeah, I know what you mean, and
that's important.
And I don't have any friends that would talk badly of you. So I guess it's one of those boundaries that's a given.
It's a given.
And we thought about like balancing your time with your single friends and your partner. You can't do too much of one thing.
Important. Yeah, that is really important.
It's so important.
Yeah, that's really important.
You can't just give all your time to your friend, but at the same time, if you have a good friend and you care about them, you can't just give all your time. Yeah, to your partner. Make that effort.
Yeah. And your partner will understand.
Yeah.
They will understand.
Yeah. What other boundary would we say for like friendships with single friends? Oh, I would say tell your partner as much as you can about your relationship. Obviously with confidentiality as well, but there's some things that your friend's just not going to want your partner to know, and you have to respect that. But I think talk about your friendships with your partner, even if it's
feel like he's part of that relationship.
Have those interactions so that your friends can become like people that your partner knows. Friendship shouldn't be so isolating.
I agree.
You know what I mean?
I agree.
There is something there, whether they're single or not. You really should kind of make sure you bring your partner along into your friendship to a reasonable degree. So what about the opposite side?
Number one is transparency. Be very open with your partner. Like I said earlier on, you have to keep them up to date with things. Like be honest and be open. I use that drink thing as an example.
What drink thing?
When I was like, in the office.
Oh, Bob and Sam. Bob and Sam are coming. Yeah, be open and honest with your partner. your husband or your wife is supposed to be like a best friend, like we're always saying.
Yeah.
So having opposite sex friendships is already risque, but it might be, but try and be like as open and honest about it as possible. Limit one-on-one interactions with
as much as possible, like especially
that
private,
could be
private
misunderstood.
conversations,
Yeah.
and private dinners.
But that sounds so. I wouldn't say limit it, but I would say be conscious of how it can be misconstrued, and be. I think also be receptive to your partner questioning certain things, because it is an odd dynamic when you have an opposite sex friend. So don't be jumping down their throat because they're asking you questions, or don't be unreasonable. Like, it is normal for them to be like, okay,
why?
A bit apprehensive. So don't escalate things by being unreasonable and expecting them to see it the same way. Because unfortunately that is and there's always something there. There'll always be a little hint of jealousy as well sometimes.
True.
So just remember that your partner is human and they're going to have that thing. Oh, what about things like hugs and kisses and handshakes and when it comes to like opposite sex friendships?
Just avoid it. Is it really needed?
Everybody hugs their friend.
Is it? Well, yeah, I guess a hug. It's a hug, innit? Like,
hug is a hug is a hug.
Hug is a hug. If it's a friend that your partner is aware of, you've spoken to your partner about, they're comfortable with you. There's nothing wrong with a hug.
Yeah, but I guess be as respectful of your partner as you would want them to be of you. Yeah. I think that's advice.
Give them, soft hug, like squishy hugs.
Okay.
As Ellie will say, squishy hugs. No.
Squishy hugs, is that what Ellie says?
Squishy hugs. where you squeeze the person tighter. No.
Yeah.
Keep the distance.
Try and meet in like public places. As well. I would say, as much as possible, because intimate situations can become intimate. Like, intimate settings can become intimate.
True.
Or even
bars and stuff, where it's a bit dimmed, it's a bit like
oh, you're not serious. I think that's a bar is a public place, in my opinion.
Yeah, some bars are very private, don't know what's going on in that dark corner of it.
But I mean, think about where you're meeting your opposite sex friend if you want to prevent drama in your relationship. Also, like, just in general as well, whether it's opposite sex or same sex, give your partner this kind of say so on your interactions, like whether you can meet up or not. I don't think anybody likes to be told on the day, an hour before, oh, I'm going out with this friend. Like, I think it's very normal.
Do it in advance.
Plan things.
Gauge if they're comfortable with it. Because if they're not comfortable with it, then don't do it.
Don't do it. Explore like why they're not comfortable with it, and try and like make sure that your partner's comfortable with things like that. Whether you're going out with your single friends or your same-sex friends, but try and give them the time and space to actually like know about it in advance and on all of that. Respect their feelings. Show concern. So I think our main thing is communication. It's about respecting your husband or your wife, having that respect. Carry yourself like someone who's in a relationship. Making sure
respect yourself. Don't embarrass yourself. Because if you don't respect yourself, you could get embarrassed. So just respect yourself.
But so that's on that. Frank, we actually have a dilemma that we need to answer. Yes, we got one last week, which is so cool because we rarely ever get dilemmas.
Yes, a dilemma. Woohoo!
those woohoos, they couldn't be more fake sounding. Okay, so I'm going to read out the dilemma and then we can say what we think. Okay, so... Hey guys, firstly, I would just like to say it's so refreshing to hear some mature, intelligent conversations on love and relationships from a Black British perspective. I've been an avid listener of your podcast and I thought this might be the perfect place to seek some advice about my current dating situation. I've been seeing this amazing guy for almost a year and we've had a great time getting to know each other. The dilemma I'm facing is that I'm not sure how to broach the topic of taking our relationship to the next level. or i.e. meeting friends or family without coming across as if I'm rushing things or being too pushy. We've had some fantastic moments together. From the beginning, I made it clear I was looking for a committed relationship with the intention of marriage in the near future. I'm a woman of a particular age, and he expressed he feels the same as me and can see a future for us, but has said that he has been hurt in the past, so wants to take it slow to be sure. I totally get this and have tried to be more laid back. I don't want to scare him away or make things awkward, so how can I express my need for a more serious commitment without putting unnecessary pressure on the relationship? Any advice or tips would be greatly appreciated. Thank you for considering my question on your podcast. A listener in love. That's so lovely.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. So, the issue is this person wants a more committed relationship and their partner seems to want to be taking things a bit slow. And they've made it clear from the beginning that they want to be in a committed, serious relationship leading to marriage. And it's not like they're saying they're not interested. That person's not interested in marriage. Yeah. They are, but they seem to not be moving at the same pace.
Yeah. What would you say? So I get it. He wants to take things slow because obviously he's been hurt in the past.
Yeah.
So it's.
But she says she's a woman of a particular age. And he understands.
Yeah, but I'm sure he's a man of a particular age as well. So
we'll be assuming
how slow are we gonna take it?
Yeah.
Because time is ticking. The clock is ticking. Like we're all getting older. Sometimes life just requires you to just take a leap of faith. Regardless of what you've experienced in the past, and if you say you love this person, then you've got to go for it.
Yeah.
We're not in our 20s anymore.
But then what should what should she do? Because I guess the question is, without being pushy or putting too much unnecessary pressure and maybe like ruining things, how do you get that person?
When we talk about pressure on someone, we're talking about young people. I'm assuming that these are not 18, 19, 20-year-olds.
No.
Then you're talking about pressure. When you're in your 30s and 40s, that's no longer pressure. I'm sorry.
Yeah. That's almost an expectation that you're going to be more forthcoming about
it. So I think she needs to sit him down and be as real as an honest as possible. It's not about pressure. Forget about the pressure. I don't think, from my perspective as a man, there is nothing that you can bring to me. Or if, when we were single before we got married, as you've asked me several times, proposing and getting married, did I feel pressurized to do so? No.
Yeah.
Because I felt like I was old enough to do that.
Yeah.
And I was still what? Was I still in my 20s? I was getting close to my 30s, so I felt like I was old enough. I didn't feel pressurized. But if you're asking a 22-year-old, 21-year-old, then I can understand that, the pressure that the parents are putting on them.
Yeah. When you're of a particular age, we don't know exactly what age, but if you can describe yourself as someone...
But basically addressing it, if you're someone that's of a younger age, then maybe the pressure is there.
Yeah, slow down. You've got lots of time. Yeah.
But if you're over 30s,
there's no pressure.
There's just no pressure.
It's all about being clear. It's all about being clear about what you want.
Be very clear.
And I think also you have to, as a woman, you need to be clear on what you want and be willing to risk a relationship that is not what you want.
Yes.
Deteriorate.
Yes.
Because you don't have the luxury of time. You don't have that
and also mentioning the whole scaring away. If you are real and honest with him and that scares him away, he's not the guy for you.
Yeah. 100%.
It's as simple as that. That should not scare a man away. I don't care what he's had in the past, what experience he's had in the past. It doesn't matter. If you come in and say, look, I love you. I really want us to be serious. I really want us to we've spoken about this before. I want us to get married and and that scares him away, then maybe
he's not the man.
Maybe he's not the man for you.
Yeah.
That would be a red flag for me.
Yeah. That's so true. You shouldn't have to scare a man away. No. And if he can get scared away, he's a scaredy cat. Yeah. And you don't want a scaredy cat. And at this point in life, you're gonna have to take the bull by the horns.
Yeah.
Life is is not going to just be happening to you the way it used to in our 20s. Everything that happens in our life now, it has to be instigated by us.
I agree.
In these ages, like,
If
30 and over.
If we allow it to happen to us, it's not going to be what we want.
No.
So we as you say, we need to grab it.
Yeah, you need to
push with
and I mean young people too, like in your 20s you need to grab life as well, but I think it's a bit different. Like you've got years to kind of
it's a bit
I wasted 3 years doing this nonsense thing, all right, well, let me pick myself up. But when you're like 30, 31, 32, 33, 40s even, you don't have the years to waste. You can't even waste a year.
Yeah, you don't have the years to wait.
Yeah. So I think I agree with Frank, sit them down, have an honest conversation. I think first of all, get your head around what life would be like if you do lose them, because there's nothing.
Be willing to lose them.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah.
Be willing to lose them.
Yeah. And prepare yourself mentally for that reality, because that's what I always talk about, like not bluffing. You're going to have a serious conversation. Be conscious of all the possible outcomes and be ready for them. But know that you're worth it. You're worth that.
Definitely.
Yeah. That directness. Yeah. So that's what we say. Have the conversation and don't worry about scaring anybody away. If you've been seeing someone for almost a year, you're at a point now where you should be asking, where is this going and when is it going to get to where we both want it to go to?
Yeah.
How long are we talking here?
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
So that's our take. I hope you liked our advice. If you do want to reach out and respond, then feel free to do so. Even if you don't want it to be like a dilemma, feel free to kind of go back and forth with us offline. And we can carry on chatting to you about it.
Yeah.
We'd like to know how it went as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's this week's episode done. I think we've only got one more this season, haven't we?
Yeah. Next week.
Yeah.
The last one.
Next week is the last one for the season.
Yep.
We're going to be taking a bit of a break, but we'll talk about that next week. We're probably not going to take that long a break, but yeah.
Yes, we are.
We can't take too long a break. Duh.
I know you don't need a break.
You're the worst. You're the worst. Okay, well, yeah, that's it for our married people and single friends conversation.
I think it's been a good one. I think it has been a good one.
So that's it, guys. You've heard our views on married people and single friends. We've talked about the challenges that this could bring in friendships between married people and single friends. We've talked about societal expectations, dynamics, misconceptions, stereotypes, and we've kind of broken down some of the tips and advice that we have to help navigate situations with your single friends or even with your married friends. We really hope you tune into the next episode, which will be the last episode of the season, and we will be discussing how much you should act like a husband or wife before marriage. I think it's going to be called Why Buy the Cow When You Can Get the Milk for Free?
That's going to be good. That's going to be good.
Yeah. So that's next week's episode. Tune in for that. Don't forget to email us any of your questions, comments, or dilemmas at itt.thepodcast@gmail.com or send us a DM on Instagram at ITT Podcast, all one word. Thank you for hanging out with us, and we'll speak to you on the next one.
Bye.